Man goes fishing with his dog, and nobody expected this. A silent vow, a promise to return. A dog waits, loyal and patient as time drags on. Get ready for a story that will touch your heart. The salty wind ruffled Theo's golden fur as he stood motionless on the beach for the 12th day in a row. His brown eyes, once vibrant, now reflected only the sadness of the endless wait. His paws, firm on the rocks of the small cove, formed a silhouette against the orange sunset, an image that already moved everyone on Navigator's Beach. Nobody had the heart to tell the Labrador that Miguel Alves would never return from that fateful fishing trip. "I'll be back before sunset, my faithful companion. Wait for me right here," were the last words Miguel whispered in Theo's ear that morning. For the dog, it was a sacred command, a promise to be honored as he had done for the past 7 years. Miguel fished while Theo guarded his belongings on the beach. The difference is that this time, a sudden storm turned the small boat, Hope, into wreckage, found 2 days later. Dona Clarice watched the dog from afar, holding a plate of food that, like the previous days, would return home untouched. A widow for only 11 days, she couldn't muster the strength to go to Theo. How do you explain to an animal that its owner was swallowed by the sea he loved so much? She thought with a broken heart. The storm came without warning. Miguel's old broken radio didn't pick up the weather alert that could have saved his life. When the sky suddenly darkened, Theo began to bark frantically towards the ocean, as if his call could warn Miguel of the impending danger. The fishermen on the beach watched worriedly at the horizon, where several small boats struggled against the increasingly violent waves. The following days were filled with fruitless searches. Only parts of the Hope and a torn life jacket were found. Miguel's body never appeared. The community held a symbolic ceremony, throwing flowers into the sea, while a local priest offered words of comfort that barely touched the surface of Clarice's pain. On that afternoon of the 12th day, something extraordinary happened. Theo, who rarely moved, suddenly became alert. His ears perked up, his body tensed as if he could sense something imperceptible to humans. His eyes fixed on a specific point on the horizon, and, to everyone's surprise, he began to wag his tail frantically. A bark of joy, the first since Miguel's disappearance, echoed across the beach. What no one on Navigator's Beach could have imagined was that, 40 kilometers away, on the small island of Anhatamirim, Miguel Alves was slowly recovering in a Benedictine monastery. Found by 2 monks who were fishing on the rocks of the island during the early morning after the shipwreck, Miguel miraculously survived, but suffered a head injury that resulted in temporary amnesia. That same afternoon, while helping with the harvest of medicinal herbs, the cry of a seagull triggered his memories back. "Clarice, Theo," he exclaimed suddenly. "I remember. I'm Miguel Alves, a fisherman from Navigator's Beach. My wife's name is Clarice and my dog Theo is waiting for me." Upon discovering that he was isolated and the only boat that made the crossing to the mainland would only return in 2 days, Miguel made a decision that the monks considered reckless. "I'm going to swim back," he declared with unwavering determination. "If I leave at dawn, I can reach Navigator's Beach before sunset." With an improvised raft and basic supplies, Miguel left at dawn the following day. The crossing was exhausting. Treacherous currents, the relentless sun, and his weakened physical condition made every stroke a test of determination. Several times he thought he wouldn't make it, but the image of Theo waiting faithfully gave him renewed strength. The sun was already beginning to set when the first fishermen spotted an exhausted man approaching the coast with an improvised raft. Initially, they thought it was another castaway, until someone recognized the familiar silhouette. "It's Miguel! Miguel Alves is alive!" The news spread quickly across the beach. Clarice, who was making her daily visit to Theo, could hardly believe it when she heard the shouts. Her knees buckled, and she had to be supported by neighbors as she watched the distant figure get closer and closer to the shore. Theo, who had already sensed his owner's presence before any human, ran into the water, swimming towards the raft with renewed energy. Miguel, seeing his faithful friend approaching, felt tears run down his weathered face. "Theo, my good boy," he murmured with a choked voice as the Labrador reached the raft, barking frantically with joy. When he finally reached the beach, Miguel was greeted by an emotional crowd. Clarice ran like she hadn't in decades, throwing herself into the arms of her husband whom she believed she had lost forever. "You came back. You really came back," she repeated between sobs, touching his face as if she needed to confirm that it wasn't a hallucination caused by pain. "I promised Theo that I would be back before sunset," Miguel replied with an exhausted smile. "I just didn't specify which sunset." Theo circled around the couple, barking and jumping like a puppy, his loyalty finally rewarded in the most extraordinary way possible. That night, as the small village celebrated the miracle of the return, Miguel told his extraordinary story: the shipwreck, the rescue by the monks, the amnesia, and the determination to return home by his own strength. "Some promises can't be broken," he explained simply, stroking Theo's head as he now rested contentedly at his feet, finally at peace. The story of the fisherman who came back from the dead and the dog who never lost hope spread far beyond Navigator's Beach, becoming a living legend about love, loyalty, and the unbreakable strength of the bonds that unite humans and animals. And for many years afterward, the local fishermen never left for the sea without first petting Theo, as if the touch of the loyal Labrador's golden fur brought good luck and the guarantee of a safe return home. Leave your like if this story touched you deeply and activate the little bell to be notified about new exciting videos like this one. So, what did you think of this story? Which part moved you the most? Share your opinion in the comments below.